Opinions expressed on this radio program do not necessarily reflect the views of this radio station.
Todd L. Levitt.
Todd L. Levitt.
Todd and Craig, good to hear you guys.
Todd L. Levitt.
This is attorney Todd L. Levitt.
Honestly, you could not be any more spot on.
Now, from the Black Diamond Group mothership in the studios of 98.5 UPS, the Todd L. Levitt Law Show.
Welcome to the Todd L. Levitt Law Show. Good morning, good evening, and good night. I'm yours truly, attorney Todd L. Levitt, broadcasting and podcasting in the middle of the mitten in a green nutrient field in the Black Diamond Group mothership with my good friend Craig Russell, the muscle, the hustle, officially announced he's going to be the next bachelor on the show The Bachelor. Ashley Jenna will be thrilled to death about that. The water's wet, the sky is blue. Craig, I hope you find a woman who is just like you. How you doing, Craig?
Oh, God, I don't want that. Are you kidding?
How you doing, buddy?
I'm fan-flippin-tastic, Todd. How are you?
Not too bad. How was your... We opened up, by the way, with What If? Creed, who's back together.
Yeah, back together and touring. You're going to see him in concert later this month.
Yeah, Pine Knobs, the old Pine Knob.
Yeah, the old Pine Knob.
That's where I grew up, seeing concerts at Pine Knob on the lawn.
Formerly known as DTE Energy Music Theater.
Well, originally Pine Knob, then DTE, and back to Pine Knob. So.
I know. It's all good.
How was your fourth?
My fourth was good. My fourth was good. Took a couple of days off. Did some grilling out. Was good. Things were good. You?
We did. Jen and I did 300 plus miles on the side by side, the KRX 1000.
Wow.
A lot of people out there have Can-Ams, Generals, the Polaris made vehicles. And, it's just, I guess it's like mountain biking. I'm a salsa spearfish guy. I'm not going to get a Canon or a Trek. They're great models. But, I'm a Kawasaki guy. It's a great machine. So, yeah, we did 300 plus miles. And it was flipping fantastic up there in God's country, the bugs. A couple black flies, but not too bad. So it was pretty good. My
question to you is, do you ever put the your bike on the back of that side by side, go out and stop somewhere and then start riding and then come back to it? Or
no, but I am going to take the side by side with my brother-in-law, Mike, for Mikey's Pizza up in Whittemore, Michigan. Big shout out to Mike. Mikey's Pizza, Whittemore, Michigan.
Yum.
Mike Arndt, we love you, Mike. Great pizza. No, but Mike and I are going to be taking the side-by-side to the Keweenaw. We're going to start off in Houghton, and you got to get an escort from law enforcement certain times of the day, and you can cross the bridge over to Hancock, and then we're going to head straight up to Copper Harbor, and we're going to spend 2 days mountain biking. Then we're going to hop on the boat and head over to Isle Royale. We're going to hike that, come back and head south and do it backwards again. So we got a big trip planned, and I hope he's training for it. He's going to need some stamina for that one.
Is this like the Todd Levitt triathlon right there?
No, it's just what I do. Listen, I'm 59. We were, you have to live, man. You have to live because you don't want to have any regrets.
True.
And if you're able to do it, you got to get out and do it. So when you're 59, I've always been this way. I've always done things. But I think a lot of people can attest to when you get to be a certain age, things are looking you right in the face. So you got to get out there and make sure you get the most of it.
You got to experience life.
You got to keep living is what I'm saying.
Grab life by the cojones and go with it.
Hey, real quick, I want to bring on attorney Nick Klaus 2 weeks in a row. Attorney Nick Klaus is flipping fantastic. One of the smartest criminal defense trial attorneys I've ever met. So let's bring Nick back on the show.
Nick Klaus, yay!
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Glad to be
back. How you doing, Nick?
I'm doing great. We had a great 4th of July, family. Oh, awesome. Bonfires. It was great. Great time.
Any side-by-siding on the dunes? Because I know you were right near the dunes.
We didn't. We made it on the dunes, but we made it there by boat. So no side-by-siding for us, but our neighbors made it. They reported a great time. So
how is Craig,
busy.
A couple of weeks ago, a storm went through that area at the west end of Michigan, right, Nick?
Yeah.
And
it
was insane. What happened, Nick? And is everybody okay?
Everybody's okay, but a lot of damage. My I shouldn't laugh, but thankfully they are too. My mom's boat, their pontoon boat, was flipped. Not once, but twice.
Wow.
That's how strong.
Wow.
But what happened? What kind of atmospheric? Did I just say that? The word atmospheric, Craig?
You did.
Wow.
And you said it right, too.
What kind of atmospheric situation conditions was happening, Nick?
Well, I mean, I'm no meteorologist, but
what kind of Doppler atmospheric, humidify, barometric pressure situation was occurring at that date and time?
Pressure. Yeah, I was going to start talking about pressure, but I don't know. It could have been a tornado as far as I know. But
nobody got hurt.
Nobody got hurt. No, the houses got banged up pretty good, but nobody was hurt, so that's good.
That's good. So we're actually going to get to some law here right off the bat, Craig and Nick. But real quick, next week, huge show next Sunday. We have a corporal. We're not going to say his name yet in case he cancels, but it's pretty much been confirmed. I'm so honored to have a corporal from the Michigan Department of Natural Resources, otherwise known as the DNR. He's coming on for an hour to answer all your questions regarding Michigan off-road vehicle laws and riding. What can you do? What can you not do? What's the proper speed limit? What's going on with all the lights? I have lights on mine. Street legal versus not street legal. Federal land versus state versus private. How old do you have to be? What can you do? What can't you do? Just a lot of questions are going to be answered. What's going to be happening in the future with all these snowmobile trails? I got a couple Polaris. I love snowmobiles. We definitely want more trails opened up out there. So we're going to be asking all these questions and more. So be sure to email any of your questions or an audio question, and we can play it on the air to centralmichiganlawyer@gmail.com, centralmichiganlawyer@gmail.com, trying to provide the listening audience with as much information as possible. And so we're going to be doing that. But we got some law to get to with Nick Klaus, attorney at law, part of Levitt Law Firm, outstanding staff. Nick, what are you going to bring the heat with this week? What do you got?
I got over the weekend, I was hanging out with neighbors and family, like I said, and you get a lot of questions. So I wanted to talk about what your rights are when you get pulled over.
Okay.
What should happen, how to comply, so on and so forth. And Fourth Amendment, you got a right against unreasonable searches and seizures. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that, just kind of give a primer to folks so they know what happens when they get stopped.
Yeah, well, go ahead. Craig, do we have enough time for Nick to set up a factual situation so the audience can visualize what's about to take place?
Yeah, and plus it's interesting you brought up the Fourth Amendment because, we talk a lot about amendments on this show, the Second Amendment, the Fifth Amendment. The Fourth Amendment doesn't get a lot of exposure, I don't think. And that's too bad because it's an important one, is it not, Nick?
Very much so. And it kind of controls what happens when you get stopped by the police.
Well, what is the Fourth Amendment? Why don't we start off with that?
Yeah.
Great. That's a good question.
Go ahead,
well,
Nick.
so that is the amendment that gives people the right to not be searched without a warrant or without some type of other exception. You have a right against unreasonable searches and seizures, and that even applies in a car when you're going down the road. At some point, the police may have some reason, and they can articulate that to a judge and get themselves a warrant. Or perhaps suppose you get stopped, okay? Suppose you got a hypothetical person, they get stopped by the police, and the police says, well, can I have a look inside the car? Okay. You have a right, or that person has a right to say no if they so choose, okay? The police officer has to have some probable cause, some reason to get into that car, okay?
And if they're asking for consent, then there's definitely not an exception at play, meaning plain view doctrine, hot pursuit, or criminal activity afoot if they're asking for consent right off the bat.
I would say typically that's the case, yeah, but not always. I mean, there are
Right.
times when, maybe a police officer wants to cover his bases. Maybe he thinks he saw something like in plain view, which is a great thing you brought that up. That's one of the exceptions to the Fourth Amendment requirement against searches and seizures. If a police officer sees something, suppose we have somebody driving, they get stopped, the police officer comes up, asks for the registration and insurance, and they see that there's an open container of beer, liquor, what have you. Well, they don't need a warrant to take that as evidence because it's right there. It's in plain view for anyone.
So can they ask you to step? I mean, I already know the answer to this, but for the audience, at that point, officer pulls somebody over. They see open an intoxicant. It's a misdemeanor. It is a crime. At that point, Nick, can they ask the individual to step out? And can the officer then search everything, every compartment, trunk, glove compartment in that vehicle?
So at that point, yeah, the person can be searched, and the vehicle can be searched incident to arrest. Anything within their reaching distance, theoretically, in that car is searchable by the police because they already know that there's a crime having been committed. So they don't need to articulate anything else in order to conduct that search. The police officer would be within their rights.
Okay, here's my question to you. Let's say the driver has an open intox. They ask the driver to step out, but there's someone in the back seat who has a purse. They ask that person to step out. Can they search that passenger's purse based on the open intox in the driver's vehicle? Or does that person in the back have a strong expectation of privacy as a passenger?
That's right. Yeah, they're protected. They must get out of the vehicle. Of course.
But they can say no. You cannot search my person or my purse.
That's right.
Well, they could be searched for safety reasons. The officer has a right to pat him down.
That's right. That's right.
But the purse itself does not have to be searched. They can say no. Correct.
That's correct.
Craig, did you know that? I already knew the answer to that, but I wanted to set that up for you.
I knew it because I listen to this show every day, every week. So I know that.
Good point.
Yes.
Let me add a little layer to that. And we shouldn't say that a general statement that they can't search the purse, but barring any other suspicion as to that person, assuming they didn't find a gun on them during the pat down or some type of drugs or paraphernalia, no, they're not going to get into that purse.
Unless the person consents.
Right, unless they had consent, of course.
And I'm going to throw a couple things out, but we got to take a break on the Todd L. Levitt Law Show. When we come back, more constitutional law with Nick, Klaus, and Todd. We'll be right back.
This is attorney Todd L. Levitt here to tell you about my favorite one and only, the only one I go to, M66 Cannabis Company, recreational dispensary right here in the great state of Michigan, central northern Michigan, located at 3023 20 Mile Road, Beaverton, Michigan, between Big Rapids and Mount Pleasant, Michigan. M66 Cannabis Company is frickin' fantastic, folks, from pipes to edibles to flower, 24 different strains. The staff, all locally hired, general manager, knowledgeable, community-oriented, family-owned. Be sure to check out M66 Cannabis Company, Beaverton, Michigan.
Hey, this is Mike Messina, general manager at M66 Cannabis Company out of Barrington, Michigan, off of M66. And I want to personally invite you down to M66 Cannabis Company to come peruse our wide selection of different products, 18 different strains of flower, 29 different types of cartridges, and so much more. We've got everything that you could possibly need and a very well-trained and compassionate staff there to help you find exactly what you're looking for.
That's M66 Cannabis Company, located at 3023 20 Mile Road. That's 3023 20 Mile Road. My favorite recreational dispensary here in Michigan. Be sure to stop in and tell the folks when you get there you heard it right here on the Todd L. Levitt Law Show. Welcome back to the Todd Levitt Law Show, turning it and burning it and churning it post July 4th, 2024 with my good friend Craig Russell, the muscle, the hustle, Little John's best friend.
Hey!
And attorney Nicholas H. Klaus of Levitt Law Firm, located in Mount Pleasant, Michigan, in the mothership, once again just destroying it with constitutional law, Fourth Amendment, search and seizure. Craig, we came back strong with Creed What If, but you have a question for Nick in regards to what if this takes place, what happens? Go ahead.
Well, that's great. What If by Creed is the name of the song. What if?
What if?
What if?
What if?
So here's a first place to get back to kind of what we were talking about before. So let's say open intox in the car. The person driving has to get out. Police officer searching. There's someone in the back with a purse, and you're asking whether or not they could search the purse. Now, what if it wasn't an open intoxicant, but the person rolls down the window, big cloud of smoke comes out, and the officer understands that's marijuana? Would that change being able to search the purse? Because you would have no necessarily idea who's smoking the marijuana of the people in the car.
How do you know it's marijuana and it wasn't just a cigarette or vaping?
Well, I'm just saying you would like to believe a police officer is trained enough to know what marijuana smells like.
And then again, it's not illegal in the state of Michigan to smoke marijuana in the back of a car if you're not the driver. If you're a passenger,
if you're not the driver.
It's a private vehicle. You could take a hit.
There's actually good new law around that in Michigan. So the courts have said that the smell of marijuana alone is not enough to get past the warrant requirement to search a vehicle.
Okay.
Yeah, which I thought was a great decision. Yeah, that's a big deal. But, another thing we get asked about sometimes is, well, I mean, you already kind of brought it up, is the purse issue and, the other occupants of the car. And I think I just wanted to highlight the last thing that you said, Todd, that the point about they can take that hit. And this is where that comes from, is that new case. So that was a great decision.
So what if let's say we're not talking about law enforcement. Let's say we're talking about casino security. Let's say you're walking into the casino and a security guard at the casino says, I need to go through your bag or your purse or whatever to come into the casino. What's the Fourth Amendment rule on that?
Well, Craig, you're asking two questions.
Okay.
To enter the casino, in order to get in, if that's their policy, you have to show them. But once you're in a casino, that's another issue, right, Nick?
Yeah, it is. And there is a little bit of a search that's happening when you enter a casino. I just want to point that out. And when you show somebody your ID, I mean, you could argue that's a search because you don't have to show your papers in this country. That's one of the great things about the United States is we don't have to do that. But to walk into a casino, you may have to prove that you're of legal age, right? Sure. And once you're inside, you're in a private establishment there. So if you don't follow their rules, you can be asked to leave. And who's to say that searching a suspicious person's purse or, code or whatever isn't against their rule? So what I'm saying is, yes, you have a right against searches and seizures, but that applies to the government. As to private businesses and places like that, they could ask to search your anything if they wanted. And if you don't comply, they don't have a constitutional right to search you, but they could say that you're trespassing at that point.
What about
following the rules.
So how about the rule? What about tribal police? What if it was not a security guard? What if it was a tribal police officer? The gray area now? Are we getting into some gray areas?
I don't think so. I mean, they have governmental authority at that point. So now we're back into the land of the Fourth Amendment. Can they just get into the purse? No, they have to have some type of exception like consent or plain view or, something along those lines. Another one is exigency. What does that mean? That means that there's this big, big, big concern that somebody's going to destroy evidence if they don't get into the compartment or the purse or whatever immediately.
Here, Nick, we've talked about this for years on the show. What about your expectation of privacy in a hotel room? So you're at a establishment, you're in your room. Can an officer just enter that room or an employee without your consent if you're in the room?
No, absolutely not. Expectation of privacy is important. That's your place. That's your castle for the purposes of your stay.
You have a contractual agreement with the establishment, and along with that, you're basically leasing and renting that space just as if you rented an apartment or a condo. The landlord has, and that's a whole nother show, rogue landlords just entering premises of their tenants unannounced. And that's not contained in the lease when you sign it for fire inspection, emergency, or other issues that you already consented to when you sign the document. So there's a lot of rogue things going on out there. But again, the remedy is, what's your remedy if you rent a house and your landlord enters continuously without your permission? Well, one, you could break the lease. You can argue constructive eviction. Folks, there's some. I'm all over the place, but there is a legal term called constructive eviction.
So now here's a question. So wouldn't your car be considered your place? You pay for it, or you've already paid it off. Wouldn't that be considered the same kind of deal?
Go ahead.
That's right. Yeah, that's your castle, and this is wild. When way back in the days of law school, we actually spend a lot of time talking about how in this country, in the United States, a man's home, a woman's home, whatever the case may be, that's their castle. And they use those words.
They do.
Because
they did.
That's how important these rights are, your expectation of privacy. So you can eject that landlord if that's necessary.
Yeah, but here's a problem. If you call the cops, and we support law enforcement, often they say it's a civil matter. We're not getting involved, because if a landlord enters the premise without your permission outside of the terms and conditions of the lease, that's breaking and entering. That's trespassing. That's a crime, folks. But often, in my experience, because we practice in a college town, law enforcement, and I'm not knocking law enforcement, they're not going to get involved. That's a civil matter. Take it to court. And I understand that there's a lot more serious things out there going on, but when you're a tenant and you have a landlord who keeps entering without permission, that I would put a camera. I would recommend putting a Ring camera, some kind of camera in your residence, right, Nick? And show law enforcement or the local prosecutor that this person keeps entering without your permission outside the terms and conditions of the lease. That's trespassing. That's breaking and entering.
Yes.
Do you agree with me on that?
I do. Yeah, 100%.
Craig?
Because that's your
castle. That's your place. That's where you. But how does that equate when your car? How does that equate the same kind of deal? Would you be able, if an officer came up and even if they don't have a probable cause or don't have a reason, you can tell them, no, you're not going to be able to search my car. This is my castle, so to speak.
Right.
And now, to be fair, how is that outcome going to turn out? If you are pulled over and a police officer says, I need to look inside your car, and you say, I'm sorry, I'm going to admit the Fourth Amendment. You cannot look in my car without, a warrant. How is that going to work out?
Can I give you a hypothetical?
Please.
Okay. So suppose that once upon a time there's a young man driving a 1997 Firebird with a headlight out, okay? He's about 17. Let's just suppose.
That is very specific.
Wow.
That almost sounds like you might know who that person is.
Yeah.
It's hypothetical.
Is it possible?
Hypothetical.
Okay.
It's possible,
All right.
but I can't mention any names.
Would his name be Rick Mouse?
Yeah, Rick
like
Mouse.
that.
Maybe it sounds like
Very
that, maybe?
similar to that.
Is it Santa Mouse?
Yeah, okay.
So you get pulled over. This kid gets pulled over for a bad headlight, but he's got some moxie. So when they ask for consent to search, he says no. He doesn't have anything to hide, but he says no because he's 17. And, the cops write him the ticket for the headlight that he probably didn't have to eat. So that's one example of how things might go. But in other instances, it might go differently. I've seen and heard of other instances where, cops are respectful. They, go on with their business and so on and so forth. I'm not trying to knock cops here.
No, listen, they do not have an easy job, and they're putting their lives at risk, and we're defense attorneys, but we support law enforcement.
Oh, yeah.
And they put their lives on the line every day, and albeit we go up against them, like the cartoon, you go to work, you argue, you advocate, you litigate. At the end of the day, hey, have a nice day, be safe out there. Thanks for what you do to keep us safe.
Right.
Shake your hands and buy them a cup of coffee.
And pull the hell over, folks. If you see an officer that has someone pulled over the side of the road, slow down. And if there's a lot of traffic, and you slowly get in the other lane and slow down. There's too many cases and instances, especially recently, if not every year, all over the country or world, where officers, it just happened in Oakland County, a deputy lost his life, a young deputy with a family. He had someone pulled off on the side of the road, helping somebody out, and he got hit by a vehicle. I don't know if they ever, because I don't pay attention, to Metro Detroit news, but I don't know if they ever caught that guy who killed that deputy. So, our prayers and thoughts go out to that deputy and his family. So that stuff breaks my heart.
Yeah.
Guys, we got to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk more constitutional law with attorney Mick Klaus.
Say Mick Klaus?
Yeah. Mick what is it?
Mick Klaus.
Rick Mouse. That's who it was.
This is our Firebird driver.
Yeah, that's right. Here, we'll come back.
This is attorney Todd L. Levitt here to tell you about my favorite one and only, the only one I go to, M66 Cannabis Company, recreational dispensary right here in the great state of Michigan, central northern Michigan, located at 3023 20 Mile Road, Beaverton, Michigan, between Big Rapids and Mount Pleasant, Michigan. M66 Cannabis Company is frickin' fantastic, folks, from pipes to edibles to flower, 24 different strains. The staff, all locally hired, general manager, knowledgeable, community-oriented, family-owned. Be sure to check out M66 Cannabis Company, Beaverton, Michigan.
Hey, this is Mike Messina, general manager at M66 Cannabis Company out of Barrington, Michigan, off of M66. And I want to personally invite you down to M66 Cannabis Company to come peruse our wide selection of different products, 18 different strains of flower, 29 different types of cartridges, and so much more. We've got everything that you could possibly need and a very well-trained and compassionate staff there to help you find exactly what you're looking for.
That's M66 Cannabis Company, located at 3023 20 Mile Road. That's 3023 20 Mile Road. My favorite recreational dispensary here in Michigan. Be sure to stop in and tell the folks when you get there you heard it right here on the Todd L. Levitt Law Show.
Welcome back to the Todd L. Levitt Law Show. What if, says Creed. What if? What if? Which has been great for our discussion about the Fourth Amendment constitutional law with attorney Nick Klaus. Nick, what if?
Of Levitt Law Firm.
Of Levitt
Nick
Law
Klaus,
Firm.
Mount
That's
Pleasant,
right.
Michigan. And by the way, big announcement, Craig. Who's coming on the show next Sunday?
A corporal from the Department of Natural Resources to answer all and any questions about off-road vehicles and stuff of the nature on the DNR trails and all of that.
Yeah, big show next Sunday.
That's right. If you have any questions, centralmichiganlawyer@gmail.com. You can send a regular email question, or you can send an audio question. We might even include you on the show. Pretty awesome.
That'd be great. Maybe little John can send an audio question. I'm gonna have
not gonna tell you what you need to hear. He's gonna tell you what you want to hear. Oh wait, that's backwards. Something like that. But Nick,
go ahead.
So you were talking about a brash 17-year-old who actually refused to have his automobile be searched and got a ticket for it. Would it be possible? Have you ever heard of a situation where then an officer didn't like that answer and maybe retaliated, having another officer say pull you over a mile away and give you another ticket for that, and kind of get you back, give you a little jab?
That's a pretty extreme circumstance, and I have to say I've not heard of that in particular.
In the movies.
Good. Yeah, okay, good.
Sure.
I'm glad.
Sure. I've had people searched over their consent, and we've brought that issue before the court and had the case tossed as a result. I've also had police officers search vehicles over the objection of the client, and unfortunately, there was another exception that applied, and it came in, and things went differently. So, it can go a lot of different ways. But if you haven't given them a reason in plain view or what have you, then you can object to that search.
And understandably, here's the best thing. Don't do anything that would give you a reason to be searched to begin with. Don't drink with an open container in your car. Don't do things like that. Be smart about it. Then you won't have to worry about any of this.
Sure. And I don't think, it's like we always say, I think most of the reason I haven't heard of the example you were talking about is because I think usually the police are professionals with a job to do. But if you give them that reason, again, they got a job to do. If you're driving around with an open container or something along those lines, your expectation should be that there's probably going to be a violation of your rights.
It's not going to be a good outcome for you. It's probably not going to be the case, but.
Right. I'm trying to say it very gently here.
Yeah. Well, you know what though? But in some of these situations, that's got to be blunt. Hey, so here's a question. So I know we're going to talk to the DNR next week about this, but what about searching in an off-road vehicle? Let's say the DNR officer pulls you over. Obviously, a lot less places to hide things. What, even if they don't even have to search, they could just see something. Is that, do you have any kind of expectation of privacy or any kind of rights when that comes to that?
So expectation of privacy kind of comes down to two things, the Supreme Court said. It comes down to what we historically think of as being, a private place, and also a common sense approach. So if that officer, whether it's a DNR officer or a different type of police, comes up and it's a wide open cab and there's a bunch of empty beer cans, they can start getting people out of the vehicle and start poking around in it. There's already a crime afoot, or at the very least, high suspicion at that point. But you could object if there is no such evidence in plain view and so forth. Of course, you can object to they can't get into the glove compartment, they can't look under the seats and so forth, unless some exception to the warrant applies. Your open cab side by side is your castle.
That really qualifies. That really qualifies.
Well, except for what they can see, because that, of course, is in plain view.
I can tell you this: there's not a whole lot of places, because I have a KRX 1000 Trail Edition 2-seater. A lot of aftermarket parts on that thing. My thing is just, you've seen it, guys. It's a beast.
It is.
And great suspension, great product. I'm going to buy another one next year, I think. But there's not a lot of places to hide things in those side-by-sides that are completely open. Now, a lot of side-by-sides are enclosed. A lot of Jeeps are enclosed. But we're definitely going to talk to the corporal about what if you pull over a side-by-side or you come upon a side-by-side and the passenger has an open intox in his or her hand. Is that allowed? I'm not going to answer it as a defense attorney on this show, but we're going to be asking, because we already know the answers, but you got to tune in next week when the corporal from the Department of Natural Resources will be on the show of all shows. So we're going to ask a lot of questions like that and more. So definitely going to be a great show.
Yeah, it will be a good show. What about boats?
By the way,
boats?
I just want to mention again, so proud to have Nicholas Klaus, attorney at law, working for Levitt Law Firm in Mount Pleasant, Michigan. He does such a great job.
Thank you.
Defending people's constitutional rights. You're just such a scholar, Nick. I'll sit there in my office speaking with Nick, Craig, and after he gets done talking, I'll look at Jen, Jenna, Ashley, Sam, and I'll say, if they're in the room, what did he just say? He's such a scholar. I said, Nick, what do I say to you all the time when we're talking?
You want me to bring it down a notch?
Dumb it down for me, Nick.
Yeah, I wasn't going to say it out loud.
That's okay.
Yeah,
Listen,
that's what you say.
I want it in lay terms. Just dumb it down. The law, you explain it. Nick, what did you just say? You're so smart, which I love because it benefits our clients. But I always say, Nick, I say Craig all the time. Everybody looks at one. What did Nick just say? Nick, dumb it down.
I'm glad he's on our side.
Yeah, so am I.
I'm glad we
Nick
got him
can
on
whip
our
out
side,
a brief and emotion with a blink. He's amazing. And I'm not just exaggerating. I don't have that mindset. I can advocate, I can litigate, I could turn it, I can burn it. But Nick is just, he's a brainiac. He's great.
I enjoy
and a sharp dresser. You're a sharp dresser too, Nick. The girls always tell you that.
Sometimes they do, maybe.
They give the ladies in my office give him such a hard time, Craig.
Do they really?
Oh, they kill him. They kill him.
Yeah, they. I'm their cannon fodder, and that's okay because they are the best team. I mean, oh my gosh,
we're so lucky.
Yeah, I mean they're a great foundation.
So face it, if you need legal representation for a drunk driving situation or license restoration, 989-772-6000.
Or
Todd Levitt.
Or we specialize, and I have for decades, in off-road vehicle citations and violations.
That's right.
How often we talk about snowmobiles, boating, side-by-side,
I was just going to say boats. Don't forget the boat word.
Boats.
Yeah.
Be safe on boats. Hopefully everyone was safe July 4th.
Well, and of course, people who listen to this show on the podcast, you have to know that Michigan has more freshwater lakes and shoreline than any other state in the country. So boating is a big deal here. Not all those places boating is a big deal, but it is here. By the way, huge feedback on last week's show where I mentioned a lot of people agree with me that if I'm eating food out of a particular colored bowl or dish, and I don't like that color, then I don't want to eat that food product. Colors matter. I cannot consume cereal out of a bowl if I don't like the color of the bowl. I'm just saying. 2 emails from a guy in Colorado and somebody from California does not make a lot of response. Come on. Come on. You guys agree with me. You're just not admitting it. I don't care. I don't care what color bowl is. As long as the food doesn't. As long as the food isn't a weird color. Don't certain colors put you guys in certain moods if you don't like the color?
Yeah, sure.
No, come on. You're not going to paint the wall of your bedroom, turquoise.
Black, right.
Turquoise gives you a headache, right?
Yeah, that's got nothing to do with eating. That's not talking about a bowl.
But if you don't like the color turquoise, which I do like turquoise or chartreuse, what are you going to if you don't like a certain color like turquoise, why are you going to eat a bowl of cereal out of a turquoise bowl? You won't do it. As long as the cereal isn't turquoise, you're not going to buy a car. If you don't like the color of a vehicle because it makes you feel negative or down, you're not going to drive that vehicle or wear that clothes or wear that tie or dress or earrings. We're talking about a $20,000 car or a $5 bowl. I mean, who cares? Who pays $5 for a bowl? I'm talking 30-cent plastic bowls at the Dollar General. Okay, that's even more so right there. I love shopping at Dollar General. I live in the country. It's the only place around. What do you want from me? I shop 2 places, Dollar General and my local farm store. So that's where I live. It's who I am. I'm a country boy. As long as the bowl is clean, I don't care what color it is. How about that? You know what? Everyone in my office agrees with me but Nick, okay? And now me. Especially Ashley, Nick. Ashley Boca agrees with me 100%. She works for us. Yeah. I think we work for Ashley, don't you?
Yeah, I was going to say when you mentioned that I seem to be doing.
And Samantha. And Jenna and Jen.
Yep.
We got to take a break, guys, in the Todd Law Show.
Craig.
We'll be right back to wrap the show up next.
I got a bowl of cereal for you. This is attorney Todd L. Levitt here to tell you about my favorite one and only, the only one I go to, M66 Cannabis Company, recreational dispensary right here in the great state of Michigan, central northern Michigan, located at 3023 20 Mile Road, Beaverton, Michigan, between Big Rapids and Mount Pleasant, Michigan. M66 Cannabis Company is frickin' fantastic, folks, from pipes to edibles to flower, 24 different strains. The staff, all locally hired, general manager, knowledgeable, community-oriented, family-owned. Be sure to check out M66 Cannabis Company, Beaverton, Michigan.
Hey, this is Mike Messina, general manager at M66 Cannabis Company out of Barrington, Michigan, off of M66. And I want to personally invite you down to M66 Cannabis Company to come peruse our wide selection of different products, 18 different strains of flower, 29 different types of cartridges, and so much more. We've got everything that you could possibly need in a very well-trained and compassionate staff there to help you find exactly what you're looking for.
That's M66 Cannabis Company, located at 3023 20 Mile Road. That's 3023 20 Mile Road. My favorite recreational dispensary here in Michigan. Be sure to stop in and tell the folks when you get there you heard it right here on the Todd L. Levitt Law Show. Welcome back to the Todd L. Levitt Law Show with our very own sharp dressed man, Nick Klaus. So we're playing
Nick
a little
Klaus.
ZZ Top
Thank you very much.
to celebrate. Every girl's crazy about a sharp dressed Nick Klaus.
Nick is single, by the way. Just want to put that out there. He's a single attorney, ladies. He is a sharp dressed man.
Sharp dressed man.
989-772-6000. I'll do the interviewing whether or not you get a date or not.
He can get you out of jail, and he's an attorney, so he's making attorney money. I mean, he's a catch. This is a good thing.
Thank you.
And I know his profile. He's very artistic. I don't want to say some of the things because I don't want women to be turned off by it, but I'm not going to mention that he likes.
Don't do that.
Because I'm not going to mention that he likes going to the theater or.
I do.
Books.
Some women are into that.
Or wants to start a book club. I mean, come on, Nick.
I would love to start a book club.
The only books I read are Highlight magazines and Playboy from 1972.
Todd, who goes to book club meetings, Todd?
I used to go
Who goes to book club meetings?
See,
women.
Craig knows.
Women goes to book club meetings.
Craig,
okay,
Craig,
listen.
You can come to my book club, Craig.
I don't want to come to your book. I don't need to come to your book.
I'm
not a woman.
library.
I'm not a woman, and I don't need to come to your book club meeting.
I'm not the only. Like I said, 2 books.
I heard you were
Highlights,
single.
Playboy. What's that?
I am single, yes, but I'm not coming to your book club meeting.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm too.
okay.
There's no way I'm listening to any book. I'm not. No, it's not happening.
So, Todd, we went to Nick's book club meeting, and we were talking about the bridges of Madison County. It's fantastic.
I mean, a movie with Clint Eastwood was pretty good, but when people say, "Oh, I read the book," I can't. Listen, I read enough in my lifetime to get through law school. I'm done reading.
After that book club meeting, Nick's got 4 dates, and I'd be going home alone. So that's why.
That's right.
That's what's going on. So.
Yeah, nah. So, but Nick is single. So, and he's got a lot of good qualifications. There you go.
Hey, we got to promote. We got to promote this next week. DNR Corporal will be in. So, centralmichiganlawyer@gmail.com if you have questions about ORV laws, anything to do with
snowmobiling, boating.
Yes, the whole gamut. And you can send us an audio question too if you'd like to be on the show. Just hook your little recorder up to your phone, send an audio question, and then send it away, and maybe you'll be on the show next week.
Yeah, check out our new page also that we're overseeing. It's a fantastic page, Michigan Off-Road Vehicle Laws. We're really proud of that, and some great information and answering a lot of questions there on Michigan Off-Road Vehicle Laws on Facebook.
Todd, the show is over. We got to go.
Nick Klaus, attorney at Levitt Law Firm. Thank you so much
Thanks
for coming
for
on
having
the
me,
show.
guys.
Nick, any
Thanks
quick
a lot.
shout-outs, Nick?
Just, shout out to my son, Wilder, and great team at the office. I want to give a shout out again to the 84th District Court staff.
How about your future ex-girlfriend? Any shout-outs to your future ex-girlfriend or anything?
All my future ex-girlfriends, all of
Okay.
them. I want to give a shout out.
Hey, baby.
You are single. Hey there. Hey now.
Hey now.
That's right.
Craig, any
The
shout-outs?
future and the past.
There you go.
There you go.
Craig?
I just want to shout out to you, Todd. Say, have a great week. We'll talk to you next week. And
Big show next week. DNR Corporal coming on the show of all shows. I'm not here for a long time. I'm not just a litigator. I'm an advocator. I'm here for a good time. Take us out with who, Craig?
Well, ZZ Top, Sharp Dressed Man.
There you go.
The Todd L. Levitt Law Show, brought to you by Clark Modular Homes of Mount Pleasant, Rusty Gold Antiques in Everett, Chad Malley Well Drilling of Rosebush, Clear Vision Windows, Siding and Roofing of Midland, and attorney Todd L. Levitt.
Opinions expressed on this radio program do not necessarily reflect the views of this radio station.